Hey everybody, just want to do a little quick video to take you through the Practice Anatomy Lab portion of Pearson. I just want to show you that and show you some slides that are there that'll fit in with the intro to skeletal system that we're doing. So these are just the histology section. So what you do is you log in, then you go to study area, and there'll be a button here that says launch study area. Then launches up this new page. Then you click on Practice Anatomy Lab here, and then you get Practice Anatomy Lab. Then you scroll down the page and there's Practice Anatomy Lab, so you click on the button there. So I don't know why they have you click two or three buttons to get here, but then you got to click histology, this section right here, and then for connective tissue in this case. And then this has all connective tissues starting with epithelial, or connective with areolar, and so you can go to Show Gallery just to take you from loose dents, and click the tab for bone. So we're going to start with this slide here. Click that and it brings us into the bigger window. And so this is so I just want to show you this 3, 4, 5 slides here. So this is compact bone. What you do is you take bone, you grind it up into little tiny pieces, and it fits on a microscope slide. And if it's fine enough, then you can get light through it and you can see the structures that are in here. So you can see the osteons, these circles here, and there's another one down here. I'm trying not to highlight some things. So yeah, because when I go across the slide, it also highlights. So here's an osteon. There's also called the Haversian system, and then here is what's called a perforating canal, because in the middle of the osteon or the Haversian system, there's a central canal. Here's one, here's another one, and these central canals are connected by a perforating canal. So you have these central canals, and it perforates through the osteon, and what you have in those is the artery and vein that go through those, and so they go up through a central canal, and then across through a perforating canal, then over to another central canal, so you can feed the entire bone tissue with arteries and veins. And then let's see, what else we have here? Oh, we also have lamellae. So you can see these, the curvature. See the curvature of all these, and these make circles. So these are concentric rings going out from the central canal, and each of these dots, those are all the lacunae that have an osteocyte in them. So each of the dots, and they go in a little curvature around, and they make a little ring. So there's like, the tree rings. Just same kind of thing, sort of looks like that. And then you have these concentric rings going out from the central canal. So each of those rings is a lamella. So that's showing you several lamellae there. That's plural. And then there's your osteon or Haversian systems. There's 2 of them, and central canal and the perforating canal. That's what that, as well as all these little lacunae in here, and that's a whole osteon there. So let's look at the next slide. And here's a higher magnification of that same slide. So we have compact bone again. So here's your osteon here, and then here's a central canal, and these little blue dots you light up, those are all little lacunae that have an osteocyte in them. And then here's a lamella. That's one. So one ring, then you have another ring here, and another ring here, going all the way around. So multiple rings come together, and multiple rings make up a osteon. Okay, and here's another osteon here, and there's another part of an osteon there, and here's an osteon here. Okay, and here's an osteon here. So there's all kinds of osteons that you can see in this. And the middle of each one is the central canal. There's one, and there's a central canal. So let's see, next slide is a high magnification view of a single osteon. So this whole thing here is an osteon. Here's your lacunae with the osteocyte in them. Here's lamella, you see that, and there's your central canal. So you have a central canal, lamella, and then here's another lamella outside it. There's another lamella outside it, and these are the canaliculi. So these little stringy looking things here that are coming out there and there, coming out from the lacuna. This is the lacuna here. And so those all communicate with, they'll go all the way to the central canal and back. So you can see, like, oops, pull the central canal, if I can do it. So this lacuna here, and you can see, oops, you can see those strings coming off of it and going towards that central canal down. Okay, and over here too. And going back and forth, and they communicate back and forth between lacunae too. So the lacunae, the osteocytes communicate back and forth. They send, you have nutrients go back and forth between these guys. Then over to developing bone. This is a fetal humerus cross section. And so what you have here, you have, well, this is the periosteum, the outside, the connective tissue around the bone. Then you have this darker pink stuff here. This is the trabeculae of the spongy bone. And then we have bone marrow is the lighter pink or almost whitish stuff here in the middle. So you have the bone marrow in between the trabeculae of the bone. Then they have what's called trabeculae of woven bone. Woven bone is immature bone. It's the osteocytes are producing fibers, but they're disorganized. They're collagen fibers, and there's a whole ton of other proteins. There's proteins that bind calcium. This bone hasn't ossified yet. It's in the process of turning into what we think of as bone. It's called woven bone because it has a lot of collagen fibers in it that are just disorganized. They haven't formed into the regular organization that we see in mature bone. And we're looking at higher magnification view of the fetal humerus. So you can see the trabeculae here, and they go on through all the way up through here. There's bone marrow in between, the same things that we were showing on the previous slide. Here's your periosteum, and here's your trabeculae of woven bone in here. Okay, so the trabeculae of the woven bone, you can see it's a different color than the trabeculae of the spongy bone there, and it's and so it's, you know, it has those disorganized collagen fibers in it. Next slide. So here's a higher magnification view of the developing bone once again. And so we have, I want to show you a couple things here. So let me go back one slide. Yeah, you can see all these little tiny dots on here. Those little tiny dots that you see in the trabeculae, those are all lacunae. Okay? So then when we go to higher magnification view, you can see all those little tiny dots in there. Those are all the osteocytes inside their lacuna. So this is the trabeculae of spongy bone. Here is a blood vessel, this little guy here. This is bone marrow here, there, and down here with the blood vessels in it. And then we also have osteogenic cells. So we have and osteoblasts out here on the edge, and the periosteum on the outside, including the osteoblasts. So the osteoblasts are on the outside, and that's making up the endosteum that's lining all the trabeculae of the spongy bone. So you can see the endosteum, if I can move it away from here. You can see the endosteum all over around the edges of this. And then there's a fat cell right here. This is an osteoclast. It actually is a multinucleate cell. Has a lot of nuclei in it, and that breaks down bones. That's a bone eater. It chews away at bone. And osteoblasts put calcium back in bones. Osteoclasts release the calcium from the bones. So osteoclasts will break down bones, and osteoblasts will build up bones. Okay, and then you have the trabeculae of the woven bone down here, and so that's the disorganized fibers down there. So you can see the difference between the, so if I move it over here, so you see the difference between that trabeculae of the spongy bone there and trabeculae of the woven bone down there. All right, one more slide, I think, yeah. Here's spongy bone, and you see the little tiny dots all the way through the trabeculae of the spongy bone. And there's little tiny dots all through here, and you can see them here and here and here. So those are all the lacuna with osteocytes in there. And then here you have, instead of red bone marrow, you have the yellow bone marrow, and that's all fat. And if you look at these, you'll kind of realize that those are all adipose cells. Those are just like the adipose tissue that we learned about in tissues in the last week. So this is all adipose tissue in and around the trabeculae. So you'd find this yellow marrow in the diaphysis and the getting towards the epiphysis region in adult bone. And then you have red marrow in the epiphysis kind of regions at the ends of the bone. So you have a yellow marrow in the middle. When you're a little kid, there's, as I showed you on the slides in the lecture, there's red marrow like everywhere. So it doesn't turn to yellow marrow until you start getting older. Okay. here we go. Spongy bone, I think it's last slide. So it's maybe one more slide. So we have a blood vessel here. This is all red marrow here, through here, and there, and there, and all through here. Here's your trabeculae lit up, and here's more trabeculae here, all the way through there, this darker stuff and darker stuff. And then you have osteoblasts, those little cells along the side. They only show a few of them. They're like all the way around here. And let's see, I'm looking to see if I can see an osteoclast in here anywhere. These are osteocytes in the lacuna, so that's all of them in there. And let's see, I don't see any. Yeah, and you can see the endosteum here. Okay, so that's a little section that you can see it really, really well there. So I'll move over so you can see it. Okay, next slide. Okay, here, yeah, this is the last one. So here's your spongy bone. Here's your trabecula. Here, osteocytes are in the lacuna there. Oh, that's funny. Looks like a little face, a little smiley. That's funny. Osteoblasts there, and then osteoclast here. So you can look at the osteoclast. You can see I'm counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 nuclei in that one cell. So it's a multinucleate cell, and that's the bone eater. So it breaks down bone. Osteoblasts build up bone. So you can use, this is how, with those two types of cells going back and forth, that's how you can use skeletal system as a source of calcium for the body. Okay, I think that's it. Oh yeah, that's right. There's another one here. Another couple here. So we have this is the developing bone in a fetus. So you have the epiphyseal plate light up here and here. That's the periosteum there. It's the skin on the outside. And in the middle, you have the diaphysis, and this is all woven bone. It's not developed yet. So this is all, the epiphysis is all hyaline cartilage. So it's not ossified yet. It's not calcified. It's made a lot of collagen fibers, and that's all there. It's all that glassy looking cartilage, but it hasn't ossified yet. And that's what you get when you're fetus and you're young. The bones are very flexible because they're not completely ossified yet, especially in the fetus. So like sharks, they don't have bones, they have cartilage. It's very flexible, so they can move very easily. So what happens is you have this cartilaginous hyaline cartilage on the epiphysis, and you have that woven bone in the diaphysis, and then it extends as it grows out as far as the bone needs to grow. Okay, go one more. Yeah. So this is showing a magnification of the epiphyseal plate. So you have this whole region down through here. You can tell that's all hyaline cartilage there. From here, here, and here, that's easily, and even there is all hyaline cartilage. This is starting to get calcified, and this is becoming ossified. And you can kind of tell, you can start seeing the trabeculae, the darker kind of regions becoming darker and different from the marrow that's starting to develop in that ossification zone. So you have these different zones. You don't have to know these: calcification zone, hypertrophic, proliferation, and resting zone. But this is all hyaline cartilage type material in here, and then you have your ossification zone on this side. So you're ossifying. It grows and the epiphysis ends are growing, and as they grow, they keep growing out, and it ossifies on the inside of the diaphysis, and then it grows out, and so it lengthens that way by these ends keep moving away from the center. So you have the diaphysis and the epiphysis on either end. I think that's the last slide. Yeah, there's a blood smear. So, okay, so there you go. There's a quick overview. That's how you get into the Pearson Practice Anatomy Lab and see these pictures. And there's an overview of the tissues for the skeleton, for bone. And I guess I actually ought to show you the cartilage as well. So, because we talked about two cartilages that are we talk about two cartilages that are associated with the skeleton. So here's We talked about hyaline cartilage. This is from the trachea, but this hyaline cartilage is on the ends of bones. So this is hyaline cartilage. Let's look at a higher magnification view. So here you can see hyaline cartilage very well right there. Okay, the chondrocytes and lacuna inside that hyaline cartilage, and so here's a higher magnification view of hyaline cartilage there. And there's another stain. Instead of a bluish stain, this is more of a reddish stain on this. So we have hyaline cartilage once again here, and then the perichondrium, which is the connective tissue around the outside along the edge of the hyaline cartilage. And then here's a higher magnification view of hyaline cartilage. So this is the cartilage that's found on the ends of bones where they articulate, where they come together. And then we also have fibrocartilage. This is cartilage that's in the pubic symphysis region. We'll talk about what that is. That's where two bones come together in the pubic region. But you have fibrocartilage here. So you have the chondrocytes and lacuna inside that cartilage. And fibrocartilage is also known as fibrous cartilage. So you have lots of fibers in there. And it's compressible, and it absorbs shock. And let's go on. Here's fibrocartilage. Looks a little like hyaline cartilage in a way, but there's more fibers that are showing up in here. You don't see those kind of fibers. It looks glassy in hyaline cartilage. So let's see. And here's more. You can really see the fibers in this this fibrocartilage taken from an intervertebral disc. So that's your discs that are between your vertebrae. So if you have a herniated disc, that's what this stuff is. We'll talk about that later on in the axial skeleton. That's next week. So this is fibrocartilage, and all the little dots are your chondrocytes. So remember, you have osteocytes that are in bone, and chondrocytes are in cartilage. So, and elastic cartilage is the third type of cartilage, but it is not found associated with skeleton. It's in the like the epiglottis and the ear. Okay, so anyway, I think that's about it. So we'll go back to the fibrocartilage once again, just so you know what those things look like, and that this Practice Anatomy Lab stuff is here, and you can look stuff up really easily. So if you have any questions, email me. Hope you guys have a great evening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.